Welcome to the Business Behind the Scene podcast with Francesca Moi, where we talk all about real business problems, real solutions, and getting actual results in your business. Okay, business owner, you're feeling stressed out, overwhelmed, burnout? Listen, James Yates, one of my amazing collaboration and friends and partners in business, I am so excited to have him as a special guest in this podcast. We talked all about how you can reignite your life by really following some simple strategies on how to be healthy. And this is a great place to be. If you're feeling like you're getting burnt out, don't get to the point to burn yourself out. Listen to this amazing podcast and really get yourself clear on what you need to do. Take time away for yourself and invest in yourself to be able to reconnect with what you really truly need in your life. All right, I look forward to hear your feedback. Go ahead and enjoy and stop being burning out. Don't need to do that. Hello everybody, and welcome in this group. This is where magic happens. I'm trying to multitask and find the live. Here we go. I found it. So here's where we get a chance to share with you all the things that we have learned in our businesses, all the things that we do to take the business to the next level. You guys must have seen, we have just finished an amazing, incredible, supersonic conference. It was amazing. So if you missed out, come to the next one. It's important as business owners that we work on the business, not just in the business. So don't miss out. And the next one is in March 2024, and we already have 20 people buying the tickets. So get yourself a ticket there. There's going to be 200 people this year. We're going to aim for 200 next year. So go ahead and get yourself organized to come along. We've got plenty of time for you to make yourself block out your calendar so that you can actually make it happen. So super excited. But today I have a super special guest that I wanted to, I thought that every single one in here, 11,000 people, you need to hear this, because I was chatting with him the other day and we were talking about his story, which I was like, oh my God, like amazing. And it inspired me so much. And you know, when you meet someone, you're like, oh my gosh, he's just the most genuine person ever. Like I love his vibe and the person that he is. And I thought my people need to hear this conversation. Instead of just having us on Zoom chatting and we couldn't stop talking, I was like, everybody needs to hear this, because it's all about self-love. We need to, as business owners, we need to remember to put ourselves first, because if not, we can't give to anybody else. So if you're ready to put yourself first, just say, I am ready in the chat. I can see a lot of you joining us already. And so if you are ready to put yourself first, if you're ready to start to nurture yourself, if you're ready to start to live that life that you thought you were going to live when you first started a business, and then you started to work 24/7. It's like, wait a minute, I left the 9-to-5 job to work 24/7. This doesn't happen. So it's not just about getting to a virtual assistant, but it's also about choosing you. And today we've got the best person to talk about that. So say, I am ready in the chat if you're ready for this guest, because everybody help me welcome the one and only James Yates. Hello. Hi, James.
Francesca, so great to be with you. How's it all going?
I am amazing. James, how do you say your surname? Did you say it right?
Yates.
I said it right. Oh my gosh. Okay, good.
Right. You said it right. Perfect.
Amazing. So James, tell us everything about, like, the other day we were chatting and we're like, getting to know each other, and the other day, it was like probably 6 months ago now. Like, how long has it been?
It's been a while. Yeah.
Been a while, right?
Probably. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Look, I would love to share. I mean, you know what? It's been such a great journey. As you said, sometimes you just meet people that have complete alignment in terms of values and just the way that they show up. And I think similar to yourself, I'm all about energy, and I just love everything you're doing, and want to congratulate you straight up front with the amazing event you just had on the weekend as well. I was absolutely gutted I couldn't be there, but I know it was awesome, which is very, very cool. But look, yeah, I would love to let's dive in and just sort of jump back and forth, say, in terms of a continuation from where we all started a few months ago when we were on our first Zoom. And
I would love to hear that. Like, tell me all about your, how did you start? What do you do first, and how did you start? Because I think that your story inspired me so much that it would be great for you to share.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I guess to summarize it, I don't ever like to blanket and try to give myself a title anymore. But if there was one title I was going to give myself, it's father, right? I'm a dad of 2 kids. I've been an entrepreneur my entire adult life. I've always been obsessed with human potential, and I've worked very heavily in the high performance realm over many years, both with everything from athletes all the way through to high performers in business and everything in between. But I guess if I go right back, and it possibly starts before I was even in a career, I was always obsessed with human potential, always obsessed with what made some people push boundaries and thrive. And then I would always wonder why then some people were just happy to survive. There was such an extreme in front of me, even back then. I was like, man, how do these people going on and achieving all this success do it, right? Yet how does the person standing next to them sometimes not want to do any of that, right? And so I got really fascinated by it all. So much so that I got involved very early on in the health and fitness industry. I guess I was passionate about well-being, and I felt like that was a really good starting point in terms of, you know, when you look at the athletes, you know, sometimes the difference between first and tenths could be, you know, 10/100ths of a second, right? Could be such a cutthroat environment, yet the people that were going on and achieving the dreams and the goals were often those that kind of just had this extra dream and desire to be able to do well. They kind of were able to see the finishing line before they had physically run it. And so as I got involved in my career, I started working with people that had achieved amazing things. I remember training an elite athlete that was only about 12 or 13 when I first started working with her, and she went on to compete for the Australian team, you know, in swimming. And she was only 14 when she was selected for the Athens Olympics. Right. And so again, you know, it was just some people just had this little bit of an edge, but it wasn't an edge in terms of over the competitors. It was an edge on how they showed up yesterday. You know, we hear in today's day and age, there's a lot of books using the 1% concept. You know, if we get 1% better per day, then over a year, that's 37 times better in that 12-month period. And I feel like these guys just were nailing that. So that's where I kind of started my career. And then what happened was I burnt myself out twice in my career. And I want to talk a little bit about that because it kind of led me to where I am now. But I basically got to a point where if I didn't work, I didn't get paid. And so I was trading time for money. It was a very linear way of working. And so, you know, I was the brand, right, ultimately. And so I got to a point where I thought there's got to be another way to be able to utilize my talents without burning myself out in the process. Because here's the fun thing. I used to watch my father, and I'm sure a lot of people watching can relate to this, and maybe we could get some comments if people can relate to this, but I used to watch my father work massive hours. He used to work like 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. in a corporate role. And I really, as a kid, probably didn't see him a lot because, you know, he was going to work when I was waking up and I was going to bed when he was getting home. And then I found if I could get him on a Saturday night, like that's kind of when the mindset was a bit switched off from work and it wasn't thinking about the week ahead. But the moment it ticked over to Sunday, it's almost like you're thinking of the week ahead again. So I could relate to that in a big way, right? In terms of looking back now, right? And we've all kind of gone on that journey at some point. So if you can relate to this and you're watching this live, drop it in the comments because I think it's
I relate because I definitely do. It's incredible, right? I that's where I learned my workaholism, right? That's what I learned.
Totally. And it's something we've been conditioned with, right? And you know, it's been glorified, even in the social media era, it's been glorified. Like, you know, you've got to hustle till you die kind of mentality, right? And so you got to work hard. And so, you know, I found myself early in my career, I was only in my early 20s, but I was burnt out already, right? And I was thinking there's got to be another way because I was working even longer hours than my father. You know, I was, you know, in the fitness industry, you know, you're at the gym or at the Oval at 5 a.m. and you're kind of going through till 10 p.m. sometimes. So you're doing even bigger hours. And so I then started learning the concept of leverage, understood that there's better ways of being able to build businesses. And I used to use that quote, you know, I'd rather have 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own efforts as a bit of a motto as I started to build business. And so we built some international distribution teams over the world, opening markets in Africa with different products, going across into about 50 countries, doing different things. It was a lot of fun. And then I found myself in a completely different industry. But the common, I guess, denominator between everything I was doing at that point was I was still working with people that were going on and achieving some pretty cool things. And but then the ultimate burnout happened. So I'm now at a point where it's 10 years later. This is now 2011. and I'm hustling. Like I'm literally on stage every 3 days somewhere in the world, teaching people how to leverage themselves, how to become more successful. So now not only am I working with mindset, but I'm also helping people in business. And I find myself at absolute burnout. And you know, when you get to a point where you're exhausted, you stop making powerful decisions. You actually start making very, very poor decisions because your decision-making process has been affected. And so then I started making poor business decisions, poor investment decisions, found myself in a lot of debt. And I remember my partner Chantel and I, we've been on a big journey, but I remember at that point we looked at each other and went, we can't go on like this. And so I find myself on a couch in Bournemouth in the UK, of all places, absolutely exhausted. And not only have I lost my energy, but I've lost my decision-making in business. I've been giving everything to everyone else. And I just absolutely feel like I can't even get off the couch anymore. And that's what I really deem as real burnout at that point, because it was that point where, you know, it just continued. It was like I literally couldn't find a way to get going again. It's like the adrenals were shot. And when your adrenals are shot, it's very, very difficult to keep pushing at a pace that just doesn't make sense for the physical or the mental body, right? And so I drew a line in the sand at that point. Now, at the same time, and I like to share this because when it rains, it pours. And sometimes when we're in these moments, we don't see a way out. Now, in reflection, I see these moments as crisis igniting evolution, right? We need the tough moments to be able to step over the line and create change. And sometimes we just don't know what that looks like when we're in it. So it feels a little bit tough because we're completely going against what we thought we were going to be doing at this point. But we were told at the same time that we weren't going to be able to have kids. And that hit us to the absolute core, because all of us have dreams and goals. One of my big dreams was to be a stay-at-home dad. I thought, you know what? If I could just be a stay-at-home dad, that would be the ultimate dream, because I didn't see my dad a lot. He was working hard, right? I wanted to be there.
Yeah.
And when that message came out, and it was just like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? That was the rock bottom moment. So that kind of led me to a complete shift and I guess a journey into where we are today.
And this is such a reality check, right? Of going like, I've been hustling so much, I've been working so much because my goal is to be a stay-home dad. And now that's taking off the table because I've worked too hard, because I've burned myself out, because I'm crazy, right?
Absolutely.
I got goosebumps, like goosebumps.
Yeah, it's a real, you know, there's opportunities that show up sometimes. And again, as I said, you don't see them as opportunities at the time. But what that whole year, that year, I mean, it still feels so heavy talking about it, but it still feels so liberating as well in terms of what happened next. Because, you know, Francesca, the actual line in the sand moment for me was I was actually walking through the center of Bournemouth, which is a beautiful old town, like by the beach in the UK, down south. And there was this homeless guy, and he used to sell me, well, he tried to sell me The Big Issue. You know, the homeless guys, they sell the magazine, right? The Big Issue. And so he's, you know, every morning, you know, I would see him. And I remembered bumping into him one day, and I just said to him, hey man, you know, I'm pretty stuffed right now. I want to hear your story. Like, how did you get to this point? And he said, look, my partner, you know, passed away. I turned to alcohol. I spent all my money. I ended up on the street. But he was like the polar opposite in terms of the, you know, the physical form of a homeless person, well-shaven, bright, crystal blue eyes. You know, he just looked a picture of perfect health. And I said to him, so, you know, what's the deal now? Like, and he goes, well, look, I've still got dreams. I've still got goals. I'm going to find a way through this. And he said, but, you know, as long as we continue to stay true to our vision, then it'll pull us out of anywhere. And it was funny because I was getting advice from someone that was way, way worse off than I was. But what it did for me was give me immediate perspective, and it became the line in the sand moment. And I thought, what am I worried about? And at that point, we then completely changed everything we thought we knew about success, from how we showed up in the world to how we approached our relationship to how we approached our health and well-being. We thought we were experts. Chantel was also, you know, a personal trainer and qualified in the health and fitness industry, but we realized that we actually had to unlearn nearly everything we thought we knew at that point. And so we started looking at the ancient ways of doing things, the ancient art of fasting, changing the way we were eating, looking at how we could utilize the power of breath to be able to heal the body rather than just to keep us alive. And we found over multiple years, all of these, what they now deem as self-care modalities, all became part of what I call now the expansion zone, which was the foundation in order to be able to not only to energize us, but also to show up in our best versions of ourselves as well. And so if you look at everything we do today, we're basically giving back, and we're teaching people the fact that, hey, it doesn't matter where you are right now in your life. I mean, you could be literally at the top of the world, or you might be literally at struggle street where we were, or even worse off. But the reality here is that when we have the perspective that all the tools we need right now are free, and they're all around us in terms of being able to invest in ourselves, energize our bodies rather than deplete our bodies, that's when the magic starts to happen.
And so what happened into your life?
Well, huge shifts. So, I mean, look, it wasn't an overnight thing, but, once I made that decision, the first thing I started to do was understood the power of fasting. And the reason I want to share that with you is because we all find our own methods, right? Some people find that going for a weekly massage is the only thing that they need to do just to feel re-energized. Some people go surfing. For me, it was fasting, because whilst I was fasting for extended periods of time, I was able to just kind of like download what I needed to do next. And I realized that I had to get it in my own way.
How long did you fast for?
I do 10 days on pure water for, sort of 3 to 4 times a year on a good year, and once to twice on an average year for me personally. So I'm fasting a lot, and I use this as a method not only to heal the body, but it's also to upgrade. And if you look at the background, I mean, Pythagoras and Hippocrates was, the father of modern medicine, was recommending fasting as a way of healing the body, thousands of years before it's become proven by science in the modern era, right? But the power of this whole method has been very, very profound for us. We've been able to make tons of upgrades. In fact, everything we do business-wise right now has been created on a fast, day 7, day 8, when you've got all that energy to flow somewhere else rather than trying to digest. And so we've used that as a major, healing point for the body. So that was the starting point. And then over the next few years, we started looking at what was aligned to our own values. Basically, we started to go down the path of developing different businesses, and we've now created a whole ecosystem that basically helps and empowers people to optimize their day every day. So, helping people to get 1% better, helping people to make better decisions in terms of what they put in their body, on their body, around their body, those kind of things as well.
And what type of results did you get? Because obviously you were talking about you've been told that, father was out of the average for you, could not achieve that. So what happened instead?
Well, we have a couple of kids now, right? So that was a really beautiful outcome, right? And so look, that was a natural
this is, to
me,
it's crazy. Sorry to interrupt, but I'm like, you went from like on the couch, could not stand up, and like burnout, and something that you really wanted was taken away from you, to like restructure your life, your health, and be able to now have kids, like conceive kids, like
absolutely,
naturally. That's crazy.
Yeah, and like I think this is the big lesson for us, was that there is so many people that are doing so well in so many industries here, and a lot of people mean well, but it's also to make sure that we don't take the opinions of someone else as the opinions of our own, and we make sure that we listen to our intuition. And so you start to, just because you've been told something doesn't mean that's your reality, right? We know people that have been, told that they're super sick and they're not going to survive. But we also know people that have been told that they'll never achieve anything in business, and that have all gone on to achieve amazing things. And I think sometimes we've just got to make a decision. It's not always as easy for someone as it is for someone else. Totally get there's sometimes underlying factors. But for us, it was about just getting out of our own way. It was cleaning up our internal terrain. It was taking care of what we do in terms of what I said, putting in the body. I mean, if you want to drop 20 kilos and you open up your fridge and there's a fridge full of donuts, your environment is not very conducive to you being able to achieve your goal. So for us, it's an environment thing. And it's really looking at what do we need to do to surround ourselves with, the ultimate, environment to be able to achieve whatever it is we want to achieve. If you look at an athlete, if they've got their nutritionists, they've got their mindset coaches, they've got their technique coach, they've got everything around them. What are we doing when it comes to business? Have we got, our high performance team around us so that we can achieve high levels of success, not just in terms of business, but also personally as well? Because if we've got energy ourselves, we've got a lot more to give in terms of business. And I just see too many business owners just burnt out, absolutely exhausted. And for good reason. I mean, we're doing what we thought we needed to do and sometimes we take a very linear approach. We hustle, we push, we drive, and we get results. But what's that at the jeopardy of? So for us, the outcome was, obviously great that we have, a couple of beautiful kids, but that was just sort of the starting point. If you look at all of the other components, we've got a change in mindset. We've got a change in the way that we show up. And we're all about giving back in a big way now to be able to. And again, I'm not here going, you just go fast and you're just going to go have kids if you've been told not to. Like, that's not the deal here. The deal is you've got to go on the journey to discover what you need to do in order to be able to live your best life. And we like just to provide, and like you do, we provide tools and experience based on what we've done. And we say, hey, here's an option. You don't want to come and try the option? Go for the option, give it a go. But ultimately go on your own journey and listen in depth. That intuition is so important. That gut feeling is often very right. I think that's the starting point.
And so you guys now run retreats, because just so you know, everybody watching this, I am going to the retreats in October. Like, I'm so excited about it because it's something that we all need. Like, as business owners, we need to, I run my own retreats and I love to provide that for my people, but I need to go to a retreat. I need to slow down myself. I need to surround myself with like-minded people. So it's important that you, as a business owner, you take care of yourself and you find that, like, I have literally a coach for every area of my life. I got a coach for health, I got a coach for fitness, I got a coach for business, I got a coach for mindset, I got a coach for sales, I got a coach for relationships, right? We just got to have that person that can help us in every direction of our lives. And depends on where you are in your business, you might not be able to have a coach for every area, but start from one and then expand to the next one and next one and next one until you get to the point that you can invest purely in every area of your life, because we all need that direction. Like, athletes are not athletes just because they wake up in the morning and they decide to be athletes. They decide, but then they take action to match with that. They get a coach to help them achieve that. Would you agree?
100%. I often live by, the quote, the will to win is not nearly as important as the will to prepare to win, right? And so, and that's Vince Lombardi, one of the NFL coaches over in the US, said that famously many years ago. And I think it's all about that preparation. It's all about showing up and saying, okay, it's one thing to set the intention. It's another thing to execute and make sure that you do have the team around you, to make sure that you do have, everyone that you know. And success is multidimensional rather than what we've been taught, which I think is very linear. Often we think it's like step 1, 2, 3, right? Then we're going to be there. I think it's very multidimensional, but saying that it doesn't mean that we do all things all at the same time either. I often talk within our expansion zone concept, like the first part is self-care, the next part's relationships, and the final part is optimization. And you're going to be kind of doing bits from each area, but you're probably not going to be doing like all 12 things all at once. You're not going to be, changing your diet at the same time. You're trying to do, something with your relationship. And whilst you can do bits and pieces, if you want to ultimately achieve the sustainable success, we've got to remember that changing behaviors and habits takes a lot longer than what we've been told. The latest research is 66 days to change a habit. If it's a physical habit, it's 1.5 times that. So if we're wanting to make a change, the preparation's everything. We've got to make sure we've got the team, the environment, the accountability, and then focus on the 1% better each day. What's one thing that you can start with, and how can you get a little bit better than what you were yesterday on that?
I love that, James, because what I hear a lot when people want to make change, they either push it forward, like, I'll do it next month, or I'll do it next, right? And they keep pushing that forward, or they do it the other way around, which is like, I'm going to never exercise before, I'm going to do 7 days this week, right? And then they burn out, like then they feel pain everywhere, they can't move, and then they stop to try to recover, which means 3 weeks later, they now lost the routine, and then now is still back to square one. So that's vital. What you just said is to choose change, but then start one thing at a time and make it sustainable for you to continue long term. It's like the diets, right? There's no such a thing as diet. This is the way that I now eat. This is the way that I now who I am, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I also use a 5-step model when it comes to change that I think is really great to put things in perspective. Do you mind if I share it quick? I just think it
No,
could be
please,
quite
please do. If you want to hear it, just say please in the chat. Let's go, everybody. By the way, we got Arthur here, James, that he says hello, brother. So he's watching. So hello, Arthur.
Amazing, Arthur. Big love, man. Absolutely love everything that Arthur's doing, and I know he was with you on the weekend as well. So
yes, he was.
very
He was one of
cool.
the amazing speakers there. Absolutely.
That is so cool. So what I always focus on is these 5, or you could always use a 6th A as well, but we'll focus on the 5 to start. So 5 A's being the first. If you look at any form of change, you've got to become aware of something in order to consciously change something, right? So the first A is awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And the second A is then acknowledgement. So for example, the acknowledgement may be acknowledgement of the fact that what you are looking to change may have served you up till this point, but maybe it's not going to serve you moving forwards. It could be an acknowledgement that it's kind of like, it's time to do something different. The acknowledgement we could talk about for a while, but I'm going to keep it simple for now. So awareness, number 1, acknowledgement, number 2, acceptance, number 3. Now, acceptance is the line in the sand moment. So we might be aware that smoking's not good for us, and we acknowledge that that's true. But have we made the decision to step over the line and actually stop doing it? And this is often the sticking point in a lot of business, right? When we see us talking about these changes, and like you were saying, sometimes we keep putting things off. It was because the acceptance phase hasn't been sort of tackled on head on yet. Maybe we're just not ready, right? And so then after the acceptance, then the action and accountability kick in. Right. And when we look at the action and the accountability, that's where we get targeted with most of the social media marketing right now from companies, right? Here's the action plan. Go and lose 20 kilos through my plan. Go and make $1 million through my plan. But if we're not accepting the fact that we're ready or we're willing to change, then we're not going to go and do very well with those. And if you look at a lot of the stats out there on online courses, over 20% or less than 20% of people that actually buy a course push play on the first module. And then out of the people that push play, only 20% finish. So we're talking, what, 4%?
And out of the 4%, who actually implements it after watching it?
Absolutely. That's exactly right. So the key here is it's the acceptance piece. So we can become aware of something, but awareness is key to transformational change. If you want to change something, you've got to become aware of something first, right? Then maybe the awareness is just that I just don't feel good in my body at the moment. Maybe it's that I'm exhausted. Maybe it's that I'm not seeing my kids enough, whatever it is. The acknowledgement, again, acknowledgement can be in either a glass half full or glass half empty states, right? And if we focus on the half full, it might be, hey, that actually has got me to where I am right now. That is a positive thing, but it's not going to serve me moving forwards because I crave this difference or this change. And then we go into the acceptance phase, the action, and the accountability. So I'm going to keep it with those 5 for now. And I think with what we look at, the key is to identify where you are based on the things that you are looking to change. Because you might be going, you know what? I'm so frustrated in my business, right? I hear this all the time. I'm so frustrated. I just can't get over that piece, or that there's this ceiling in terms of income or whatever it is. Let's have a look at, the acceptance part of that whole journey and see whether you really have made the decision. Because I think once you make the decision, there's a very, very high chance. And I mean, talking like truly making the decision. Like it took me to be at rock bottom to make a decision to change a lot of stuff. Sometimes we don't actually need, though, the tough moment, the crisis, to make the decision if we use our awareness.
James, we could talk hours about that, right? They're like waiting for things to crash for us to make change. Why we do that as humans? That's my question. What do you think? Why people would do that?
It's a conditioning thing. It's a conditioning thing. So, when we have to do something because our life depends on it, because our house you're going to be taken away because some pressure is put on the kids, then the natural human state kicks in, right? Which is, hey, I've got to make a difference fast, and I'm actually very capable of doing it. So let's just find a way. We're too comfortable in this modern world, and we've been actually conditioned that way. And when I say conditioned, if you look at society, even our parents, the generations beforehand, whilst things weren't comfortable for everyone, there was this essence of, hey, it'll be all right. And especially in the Australian psyche, she'll be all right. Yeah. Like there's always this it's going to be fine. I'll do it tomorrow. But we're in this world right now where it is, it's pivotal that we realize that that's not going to serve us moving forwards. We're going into a very different world where technology is obviously taking over in a big way. And for us to be able to stay relevant in business, for example, we've got to make sure that we are identifying the crisis moments before they happen. It's a risk management system on our own lives now. Now, that's just with business. Same thing with our energy. If we start to feel ourselves not feeling great, that's listening in, right? That's intuition. It's going back in and going, you know what? I don't know the answer, but I know that something is off. That's a really good starting point. So going back to what you were saying, I think a lot of it comes down to social conditioning. A lot of it comes down to, hey, it's going to be okay. But the reality here is that, you know, we're at a point where, you know, we need to be identifying things way before they happen these days.
Absolutely, I totally agree. James, I know that like you and I can talk about this like subject for like hours, because that's been my biggest aha moment during COVID. Is like I was doing everything for the business, for my team, for everybody else, and I was putting myself last, and I completely burnt out. And so I made some really poor decisions, and things happened in 2019, and the reason was because I was literally completely burnt out. So I am so passionate about this topic. But if someone is watching here, I know the time is running out for our conversation. So how can they, you know, come to your retreat? What's the next retreat you have? What are the retreats about? Tell us a little bit more about what you do, because you provide an incredible, amazing, outstanding results. I saw yourself on social media. I saw your results, your testimonials. Oh my God, I'm so FOMO to come to your next retreat. So tell us all about it.
Yeah, no, really appreciate it. So we run a company called Reignite Enterprises, and basically we specialize in programs, products, and experiences. So the programs, we've got a cleanse that can help people to, at home, make those 1% changes in terms of better energy, better health, and helping people to eat better and feel better and move more, right? So that's one. Actually just had a testimonial come through this morning that some ladies lost 21 kilos following that. It's not a weight loss program. They just lost weight from just making the changes, which is great. But most people are sleeping better, they're feeling better, they've got better habits in terms of their eating and things like that. So that's the programs. The products, we've got some organic whole food products that we brought out for on the basis that we're only going to bring anything to market that we would personally consume ourselves. So there's none of these, you know, fillers and no artificial anything, 100% organic. And so we brought that out as a way of being able to help people that maybe couldn't come and see us physically at an experience to be able to still do something in terms of those 1% changes. And today we're talking about the experiences, which is primarily our retreats. And the retreats started about 6 years ago now. We've had, probably, well and truly hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people come through these. We have literally 15 to 20 people at a time. We've had hundreds of people go through these. And what they are focused on is helping people to get into an environment that is supportive. Again, what I was saying before, without giving you and telling you what to do, giving you the environment where you can make the decision to what you need to do next. So we have a beautiful purification experience. It's a 4-day, 3-night experience in Noosa hinterland. We're using the elements of earth, air, fire, water, ether. So lots of fire, lots of breath, lots of ice, lots of movement, all different modalities to help people to basically, you know, find their next steps and also to optimize their lives from every single angle. When we're eating good food and around good people and we're doing all of these kind of things, often that becomes pretty clear as well. So that's happening in October. We have a plant-based cooking retreat that we just ran this weekend. We're running another one in November. We're doing that because there is so much demand in this sector at the moment with, you know, what do I do if I want to eat healthy? How do I get more color on my plate? So we had 5 chefs with us on the weekend, all specializing in different things, from like Japanese and Indian to raw to all of these different components as well. So that's happening in November. And then we have in March, and I'm hoping our dates aren't at the same time your event is, because we've done this time. But
no, when is it?
The 10th to the 16th.
When's yours? It's not 21st, 22nd. Yay!
Yes. So the 10th to the 16th, we're of March next year. We're in Thailand with our brand new 7-day Elements retreat. So imagine everything I find in Koh Samui, which is going to be really cool. And we've got people coming in from all over the world, from Alaska, from Europe, from Dubai. It's going to be a beautiful experience. And then you can.
How many people do you get? Sorry, you go.
No, I was going to say, look, in terms of people, with the international ones, anywhere between 20 and 30 people together. With the local ones here, 15 to 20. We like to cap the Aussie ones with the cooking and things like that at a little bit smaller, so we can obviously manage that. But yeah, the international ones, we've got bigger venues and we've got, more space, and
I
you've got the
love
whole
it.
local experience as well that comes in, like sunset cruises on the old junk boats in Thailand, and massages, and extra beautiful sort of things as well. So they're all coming up, and the reason that they're so powerful is we attract a lot of people that are either already investing in themselves and really keen to continue that journey, or people that are at that point of, I don't know really where I'm going to go next, but I know I need to do something, and this will probably provide that space to be able to find what that is as well. And sometimes that might mean new business ideas, sometimes it might just mean more energy and doing things that are going to help you feel good.
Amazing. And from a business perspective, just so you know, everybody watching this, running retreats is like incredibly hard, and feeling retreat is even harder. So for you, like, heads off for you to be able to achieve some amazing, that tells me that your retreat are next level amazing. That's why you get to have such a huge number at your retreats, because it's not easy to run this many in a year and fill them all up. And they're all sold out, by the way. If you go to his website, it's like sold out. So congratulations, from business owner to business owner. It's amazing. You're doing good for the society, for the universe, for the world, and you're changing lives while you're getting yourself to live your passion. So you're an example of what's possible, James, and I adore meeting people like you. So thank you, Arthur, for the connection. I always love to meet people like you. So I know that we're out of time. Sorry everybody for going over time, but it was too amazing content. I couldn't stop James. Like, it was too amazing, so I had to stay and continue to listen to him. So James, how can people reach out to you? How can they come to your retreat?
Yeah, like the first thing what I'll do is let's put my profile in this chat as well, so people can reach out and ask questions, because I like to make things as personal as possible, and I know that's how you like to roll as well. So
beautiful.
The first thing is, you can go and look at websites. It's Reignite Life, so REIGNITE life.com. So you can go and look at the website. But if you want to make this a bit more personal, reach out. Tell me one thing that you gained from today, and let's have a chat. And I'll see how we can best look after you with what you're looking to do as well. And we can share all of the up and coming events. And I guess the challenge for people that are watching this that haven't come to our retreats before is we have about a 60 to 70% return rate at the moment. So we're getting a lot of people coming back that have been to one. So it's harder to get in. But if you make the personal connection, we'll see what we can do to make sure that we give you the best possible chance to do so as well.
I love it. Amazing sold out retreats. If you guys want to get in it, get in touch. You can tell them that you're my friend, and we'll get you in, like Italian style.
Yeah, totally. Make sure you mention Francesca for sure.
I love it. It's always like a good thing when you go in Italy, you got to tell someone that you know someone so they can let you in. That's how we roll around here.
100%. I've done a lot of stuff in Europe, and it's exactly like that everywhere, isn't it?
It's all about who you know in Europe to get through things. I love it. Thank you so much, James, for your time. Sorry to take you over time. I know how busy your schedule is and how busy you are. So thank you. And I mean, you and I are going to definitely catch up very soon. We have lots of things going on. We are collaborating in a lot of things. So I'm excited to chat with you soon. And thank you so much for your time.
Really appreciate everything you're doing. And thanks so much for taking the time to have a chat as well. Much love to everyone watching. Thank you.
I love everybody. If you loved it, just say I loved it. Just say I loved it in the chat. Thank you, everybody. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this amazing podcast. Now, if you enjoyed this, you're definitely going to love my Facebook group where I've got over 11,000 people in it, and they're all business owners successful like you. It's called the Successful Entrepreneur Lounge, and in there are the classes every week, and I get to interview my clients, and I get to teach you all the things that I've done to get my business to 100K plus a month. So I look forward to have you in there. It's called the Successful Entrepreneur Lounge Facebook group in Facebook. I look forward to see you there. Ciao.